It's tiny, but does it work? Let's check this dash cam out. Dave Taylor here, and it's way too cold for me to be filming out in my car, so we'll do this instead, because I'm looking at this. This is the Xiaomi T-Shai, also known as the 70 Dash Cam Lite, and it's actually really slick. Features a 2-inch LCD screen, which obviously is not on right now, and night vision, and it's a 1080p full HD with a 130-degree sensor. All of that, the camera is here, and it actually has the Sony IMX307 sensor, so the night vision is pretty remarkable actually. It's really clean. So, you know what? Let's just jump into some video footage. I'm gonna just start with this. This is night footage of me pulling up to Denver International Airport, and you can see this is just nighttime shot with this little tiny guy right through my windshield. It is very clean video. It is very, very viewable. Now, let's talk about a little bit more because it also has a parking mode because it has a battery built in it. It has a 500 milliamp hour battery, which gives you about 20 hours of runtime after you turn off your car. Really cool idea, actually. And so then there's a shock sensor, and if someone hits your car, it then actually captures some video footage. Now, since this is pointing out the front windshield, if someone hits the back of your car, you're not getting anything really useful out of it, other than I suppose you get a timestamp. So other than that, not a whole lot that you're getting, but it's still pretty cool, right? So you get that 24-hour monitoring. And then let's just talk about the device itself because it's in two pieces. So there's the GPS unit, and this is an optional purchase. So you don't need it, but you really want it because it's really nice. It gives you things like not only lat long, so you can find places on a map, but it also gives you speed because it can figure out where you are and where you were seconds earlier, so it can actually calculate your speed. Now, one limitation is that the unit only actually shows you kilometers per hour. They're going to fix that, but right now you're stuck with that. So if you're looking and you're like, wow, 100 kilometers an hour, I'm going crazy fast. Well, you are going fast, but not as fast as you think. Anyway, so GPS, this is the whole GPS unit. Look how small that is. It has no independent power because it clips right onto the back of the GPS. I'm sorry, of the dash cam. Let's see if I can get this to work. It's much easier to do this when it's on the windshield, which is a little inexplicable, but there we go. So the whole thing clips together, and then that ends up being what's on your windshield. Now I want to point out another issue is that if you imagine that my windshield is like this, you can see that camera has a gap between the camera and the windshield. When we get to the daytime footage, you'll see that produces a bit of a problem. But let me take this back off. You know, super small, and then on the side you have a plug for micro USB and a really long adapter comes with it, and this is a two-piece. So if you already have like a cigarette lighter adapter or similar USB you can access, you can plug this directly into that, or it comes with one of these, all very handy. And then the other side is a micro SD card, and this is a tiny bit problematic because the transfer of video from here to your phone via Wi-Fi, yes, it has its own Wi-Fi hotspot, very cool, not full internet obviously, it's just for connecting so you can look at stuff, but it ends up being really slow. So the logical solution is to pop out your micro SD card, but they have it in so deep that it's actually not very easy to work with. So that was pretty easy, but once you have it on your windshield, it's pretty hard to do that. You get micro SD, and that can be anywhere from 16 gig to 64 gig. And it also, I believe that, actually no, I think I had to supply this separately. I have a micro SD to SD card adapter, so now I can plug it into a wide variety of devices, and that's actually how I got that video footage. So that is actually darn handy. So having said that, generally speaking, you're going to be controlling this through either the screen, And that takes a little bit of patience. It has an on-off button on the bottom and then 4 function buttons. And then the bottom of the screen in tiny little print will show you what those different functions do. It's certainly doable. You can certainly get to things like settings and make some basic changes. But really, you're going to want to do it all through the app on your smartphone. So the app is called, ingeniously enough, the 70My app. And here's a couple of shots. So here I am connected via Wi-Fi to this unit. And then here's a photo and albums. I can take photos or capture snaps from the device directly. And then you go into this mode where you have normal, event, parking, and photo as the 4 categories. And here I'll show you, if I go into normal and then go into recordings, then I can look at footage. But now I'm going to go ahead and transfer a bit of video footage onto my phone from the device. And we'll give it a little time. I'm not going to give it too much time because you can see it's pretty dang slow. Now, it's because the video footage is actually pretty darn big because it's getting this nice high-res 1080p, but I think for all intents and purposes, it's not really a functional solution. If you wanted to just say, get every video snippet off of this device, that's going to probably take a couple of hours. That's a couple of hours where you need to keep this powered up. So not really a great solution, so you end up taking the SD card in and out. Not a huge crisis, but worth knowing about. And speaking of which, here's some more footage. This is actually daytime of me driving around near a small local airport. I guess airports are the theme this time. And again, you can see it's really beautiful. But now we get that problem, which is the reflections off the windshield of my dashboard. So in direct sunlight, it ends up being a bit problematic. And I talked to the development team, and they're like, yeah, we don't really have a solution for that yet, and it's really because the actual lens ends up, especially with the GPS adapter, it ends up being an inch or so off the windshield. So you can imagine that if it's like this, then I'm getting reflections right here from anything below it. So maybe it's just the nature of these things, but I haven't really noticed that problem so much in other dash cams. So still really impressed by the footage. Really not much else to talk about. It's a very nice device. The basic unit comes with everything you need. It has its own mounting plate if you don't want to get the GPS. But honestly, the GPS is less than $20 incremental cost. Just get it. It's worth it, right? So, in fact, the whole unit is actually pretty darn inexpensive. Now, I will say, again, my 2 limitations with this are, number 1, those dashboard reflections on daytime is a little annoying. Maybe there's no big solution to that. And I guess 3. And then getting the micro SD card in and out, I think they just need to have it like an 1/8 of an inch or like even a millimeter or 2 further out. Because I would be perfectly fine with having the card stick out a tiny bit if that made it easier to work with. Because reality is you're going to be popping that out so you can actually get your videos. And third thing, kilometers instead of miles per hour. Certainly not a big deal, but that's a pretty easy thing for them to fix in software, so get to it, y'all. Now, that's all I got. So, before I tell you the price and we talk about that, I guess that's not all I got, right? We need to talk about the price. But before we get there, I'm going to ask if you can subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate it. Cool. Now, this is the 70My Dash Cam Lite. And base unit is $79.99. You can pick it up at places like gearbest.com. And if you want to add the GPS, which I would certainly recommend, so the dash cam plus GPS will cost you $95.99. But here's the thing, is that we are right around the holiday season right now, at least when I'm recording this, and that means there are all sorts of promos and deals going on. So there was just Singles Day at AliExpress, Alibaba, one of those two, and there were some really amazing deals. Even GearBest had this at like 40% off, which makes it a screaming deal at like under $60. But keep looking. There's going to be Black Friday. There's going to be a lot of different options for you to save some money if you want to pick one of these up. And I'm really impressed, I have to say. All in all, it's one of the best dash cams I've looked at. It's a really nice design. It's tiny, so you can easily hide it. The cable it comes with is long enough that you can really sort of work around your car and hide it rather than having it just hang down, which is kind of what I do because I'm using so many. But you could really do a nice install. And with the GPS being so cheap, there's no reason not to have that and not to log all of that data. You know, they'll improve the software, they'll improve the app, all of that's going to get better, but for right now, this is a really good option. And with that, I'm going to put it back in my car, which means I'll catch you in my next video.